Good evening. Woo! Welcome to Scott Belly Hairdressing. It's where it's all happening here tonight. I know we're a little bit later than 7:30, but thank you so much for joining us. If you are watching anywhere in the world tonight, big good evening, especially to everybody at Mousse Central in Australia, especially Mark, Clive, Paula, Leah. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's always great to have you with us, as with any of our international friends and family that will be watching this evening. Also, big evening to everybody nationally in the UK, especially everybody at Mousse Central in Coventry, Alan, Lawrence, Barbara. I'm sure you'll probably be on tonight. It's always a great pleasure to be your UK Artistic Director, which of course I'll be celebrating this week for 2 years, which is always a great pleasure to be there as your Artistic Director, and also promoting the products and working with Mousse products, which you'll be seeing that tonight, how that works in harmony with the haircut that I'll be doing. So, what's it all about? The great thing about doing this job is working with products, working with canvases. I always think that hair is like a canvas, it's like a journey. You start off with a painting, as we can see a painting on the wall over here. You start with the canvas and do the painting on there and create something magical. I always think that hair is magical. We are magicians. We create magic, and that's what the beautiful thing is about it. I salute all hairdressers. I salute everybody that does hairdressing, because it is an art form and it is very, very, well, I'd just say, interesting, exciting, all of the above, which is the good thing about doing hair. I always think of it as something very special and something magical, whether we're here in the salon, the Scott Belly Hairdressing, or if we're live on stage. It's equally as special every time, and every customer, every client is special. I'd like to also say big good evening if there is any clients watching tonight. Big good evening. Hello to those of you that are watching tonight, especially. Historically, it's always been a system set up to teach people how to cut hair, but now it becomes a live feed where people will communicate through this tonight. So I'll be saying a big good evening as the night goes on tonight, especially like Big Mate, he's on there probably tonight. Lynn Marie Atkinson, Grace, Cara, not forgetting of course Grace. For those of you that are not watching Emmerdale Farm tonight, EastEnders, Coronation Street, big good evening also. If you've not put your children to bed, big good evening and welcome. Don't worry, you'll have a charm for a comfort break very shortly. But anyway, let's talk about tonight. As I say, it's magic, producing magic, and the main thing is that we're able to show that. And I'm going to share with you now, we'll introduce the model very shortly, but then we'll talk about what we're going to do and where we're going with tonight, because obviously it is like a journey. I'm going on a journey. So let's come over and meet my model tonight. Let me just introduce to my very beautiful model tonight, Charlotte Ann. Woo! There you go. So if you want to say hello to your friend.
Hello, everyone that's watching.
Well done. Yeah. There you go. So Charlotte Ann tonight. Charlotte Ann works for us as a Saturday lady. She comes here and works at the salon, so it's very kind for Charlotte Ann to be my guest tonight. I've never cut Charlotte Ann's hair ever in my life. So it's going to be quite interesting. I used to cut her mum's hair. Just give us a little wave, mum, spin around. There you go, she's get on. So of course, many years ago, when we're all a lot younger. But yeah, it's great. So we're on a second generation. The nice thing is to share with Charlotte Ann's hair tonight. We'll be using the razor quite a bit tonight. We'll be reducing a lot of weight, and also working in harmony with the Mousse products to show you how they work with the haircut. So let's talk about how it's going to work tonight. Let's actually talk about the haircut. So we'll be losing a good amount of hair tonight. We're going to be taking off about sort of 4 inches off the back here. The way I generally tend to measure an inch is sort of that sort of distance. So when we look at it, we're going to be taking a really good amount out of here. So we're going to be looking at about 3.5 to 4 inches off the back on a square layer. We'll then be coming through a 4 graduation cut with the razor blade through to the front here, which will be creating that natural shape onto the front. We'll be going for like a C-shaped curvature, which will create a really nice natural effect. Right, this is where it gets really interesting. On the top, we'll be working with the bones, which we'll go through in the skull in a minute, but through the top part, we'll be using a square layer. I'll just bring it, that's it. Be using a square layer through the top, which will subdivide to this area here, which is the parietal ridge. We'll then be creating a rounded layer through that area, which will then create a hugging shape onto the face, almost like a heart shape. Then it will get really interesting, folks, after that, because between these two areas here, we'll be working with a razor blade, and what that will happen there is we'll elevate the hair, really important to elevate it at 25 to 45 degrees, and then bring the razor blade on, and what will happen is we'll use it like a plane, which will take the weight out of the hair and then bring Charlotte Ann's hair in really smoother to the head. The idea is, in the brief, we're looking for hair that's a lot more leaner. So the idea is it will just fit closer to the head and give us a really nice shape onto the face. We'll be working with the high way of the hair again. we should be working with tonight the important bones in the skull, which will be the recession, the parietal ridge, which is the second bone that then divides the top in half, one of Ross Cunningham's favourite bones through there, of course, if he's watching tonight. Apex on the top for any apexers that do roofing out there. Upper occipital bone, which is a protruding bone in the skull, which then allows you to do a graduated bob, which again, you will go no shorter than that in order to create a graduated geometrical bob. The lower occipital bone, which is our starting point for most bobs. Then we'll be going into the bone behind the ear, which is the mastoid process, and then we'll be working with the nape, which is in the bottom of the hair. So quite a lot to work with there. Again, for those of you that have never watched before, this is quite technical tonight. You'll be watching some of you that are guests that come to us and visit the salon. You'll be thinking, wow, you know, there's quite a lot involved in it. There is. I mean, the idea is, it's like when you watch a plaster on the wall, when they put plaster on the wall, let alone mix it, it's a real art. This is art, and you'll see it tonight, the complete change. I'll be working the products in with this haircut tonight, so the mud products will be using Fat Mud Blowout Mousse, we'll be using Fat Mud and Volumizing spray. We'll then be coming into the blow dry because we're looking for something that's going to take away frizz off the hair and promote shine. I'll be using Aunt Collie's favourite product, which is Filthy Muck tonight to blow dry, which most of you may think, well, why are you using a paste to blow dry with? Well, yes, why indeed? First of all, it's a great product and it will work for me, and I know what it will do as a limitation. Secondly, it's a risk take, and I do like to take risks. Everything's been well rehearsed before I even do it on any guest, but again, when I say a risk, it's doing something different. You're not using a normal product that you would normally use, you're using something that will take away the humidity and will make the hair look really nice, because at the end of it, you want the final picture to look as if it's really shining, it looks very natural, and you want the finish to be equally as good as the cut. So obviously I don't want to go and ruin my cut with a really bad finish, so that's why we're choosing to use that. We'll then use beard oil at the end to create a shine, and maybe some hair lacquer at the very end also to finish off. But that's pretty much the synopsis of what will be happening. So the first half will go like this. We'll cut Charlotte Ann's hair while we're on the wet relationship of the haircut, and go through all of that and do the razoring and apply the product. We'll then disappear, unless this cuts off, of course. We'll disappear, and then you'll be able to have a comfort break, have your dinner, put your children to bed, watch the last part of EastEnders, whatever you decide to do. We'll then do the blow dry. We'll then come back in afterwards with the muck styling stick afterwards, which will then do the finish for us. So you'll come back in and see us when we're actually going to be on that part of doing the finish off, and then I'll then come in and do the finale, which will be really down to the personalisation, using the scissors to soften the hair onto the face, making sure the bob line's straight at the back, making sure that all the weight's out of the hair through the sides, which I'll revisit again with a razor blade afterwards, just to make sure that that's all okay. So that's pretty much what's going through my head, as with any guest that comes and visits the salon in that respect. So it's quite a lot to think about. It's almost like a checklist. So let's start with the haircut tonight. I always say that every haircut starts on a journey, as Lloyd's TSB used to say. This is the start of our journey tonight, folks. It's Fat Muck Volumizing Blowout Mousse, which basically is a mousse, which, surprise, surprise, you can see in my hand. You need the size of a golf ball, which will be sufficiently enough. Now, this works in two ways. Number one, obviously it's a foam. Rather than getting two hands and going like that, the nice thing is you apply it with the comb, it means you get no product wastage. Also, it's theatre. Everybody likes a bit of theatre when they're doing guests at the end of the day, which then makes it even more interesting. Also, this is a conditioner. If you were to squirt it into a glass, it would then disperse into a conditioner, which means it's actually starting work on the hair as we are actually working with it. Also, it allows me to see the natural fall in the hair, so as I'm moving the hair around I can see that, so it's absolutely brilliant. I'm guessing Nick McCaffrey's on there tonight also, and Dan Metcalf, let alone SJ, and also Kerry Southam. I'm guessing they're on there tonight. Who's on there, Dad? Let's have a rundown on who's on.
I've only got two up at the minute because they've all been shooting up and what you've been talking. So.
Okay, so let's see what we've
got. Josh Brown on there.
Josh Brown, great to see you, brother. One of our previous models.
And
excellent
also Stacey Lynn.
Stacey Lynn, good evening, nice to see you with us tonight. Hello. As with all of everybody that's on there, I'll be looking at this later on and seeing who's on there, but as I say, I bet Dan Metcalf's on there, SJ, a lot of the Saxon family, I'm guessing Lucy might be on there as well. Did you remember any of the names that came up earlier?
Charlie Brooks.
Charlie Brooks! Woo! Charlie Brooks, good to see you on there. Charlie Brooks is a legend. I know, how could you ever forget Charlie Brooks? Right, you can see this produces a really nice clean shape with this Fatten up blowout mousse. So we're going from the apex to the mastoid process, and this is how it works to do the back. So now we replicate it on the back part. Again, clean lines, clean haircut. You'll see all this when you watch this on playback later. You'll see just how clean the lines are. Everything has to be clean in order to produce a good haircut, and that's what it's all about. Sarah Louise Gunn, great to see our little cousin on there tonight. Keeping in the family. Great to see Sarah. Hope you're all right, sweetheart. This is nice to see your cousin working away. So it's really important. Give Sarah a wave, Dad, because you are her uncle. That's it, and everybody else at home. That's it. Oh, there. So now we're going to go to the lower occipital bone. Now, the important part of this is the reason that we put a line in at this angle is because a lot of people say to me, why do you cut that in at an angle? Well, the idea is if you put the idea there at a real sharp angle, you'll actually find that it will actually create, that's Big Mate just gone by in his car, you'll find that if you put it in at that angle, you create that line. So the idea is if you put it in at this angle, it creates a better line. So you'll see that. You just spin around to the side. That's it.
Chris Allen.
Chris Allen, nice to see you on there tonight. I hope you're really well. I will put your pictures on very shortly, one of our previous models. Hope you're okay there, Chris. And I'm guessing the beard's still there with you. It is looking good, brother. Pal, I have to say. I should say, mate.
James Hebbleway.
James Hebbleway, nice to see you with us tonight. James, hope you're okay, and Sarah and the family as well. Great to see you. Okay, so now, thank you. So now we can actually see that we've got the lines all set out, ready to go. Now, as I said earlier on, when you cut a one-length haircut on somebody's hair, it's really important because what you're looking for is this. When you cut a straight line, everybody thinks you put a straight line into it. What you actually are putting in is a slightly beveled edge. So the idea is with a beveled edge, when it's dried straight, it will create a straight line. So looking at this now, it's creating that slightly beveled edge, so I'm pulling it down, which will tell me that that is what's creating a beveled edge, which then will create a straight line. If it was a straight line going down and you cut a straight line, it would then lip up, and we don't really want that, so that's why we do that. Okay, so I've got legs crossed, that's very good. So we're going to go in now with the tight part of the comb, which then keeps maximum tension on. So now just going straight in, and then literally keeping the comb. Some of you may be thinking, why are you cutting through a comb? Well, the idea is it creates a straight line whilst you're doing that. If you cut with your fingers, it will create graduation. Plus also, I am sitting down on a chair, which is saving my back and also allow me to see the cut at the right angle. So now you can see we've got a nice straight line in there. Okay, so we're now going to move to the next point of call, which is going straight up to the upper occipital bone. You would go naturally to the apex sometimes if there's not an awful lot of air and it's quite thin in texture, or you go to your next port of call from here, which would be the occipital bone. But we're just going to dive up now, just to save time and make it a little bit more interesting for you, so we can get into some more of the more technical things which are into the other part of the haircut, obviously when we do the sides and we do some of the weight. Right, so now you can see we've got the sections lined up. We have to remember where we are in terms of what everything is. Right now we're looking to see where we're going. We can see the guide's just there, that's my target area. I'm keeping my arm straight as I'm cutting. Go for the middle section first. Off it comes, you can hear the blades nice and sharp. Get a real nice sharp line. Now this is where we change the angle, so we now come down at a slight angle. Remember what I said, to bevel it round. So now we'll just take that off. Just a very, very subtle bevel, and that now just creates that shape on side one. It's only a real subtle bevel that you're putting in there. Pulling it again, put that slight bevel in as you do it, which creates the shape, and now we've got that slight bend that's coming in on the edges. Checking it off to make sure I'm happy with it. Now I'm going to go straight into the apex. Everything's fairly fast moving. It's what we call condensed hairdressing, this is, so everything's quite quick and condensed, which keeps it nice and tidy. Quite technical stuff, eh?
Yeah.
So, now we're coming into the last part of the back, so just call anybody out, Dad, if they come on.
Okay, Ben Gardner.
Ben Gardner, great to see you with us tonight, hope you're okay.
Sharon McCaffrey.
Sharon, hello darling, nice to see you. I'm sure you'll enjoy this haircut, especially when I do the razoring out with the razor blade, something we've never done before. Hope you're well with the cats and Nick as well. I'm guessing Nick's either at home or is with Wolfgang. You might even be with Dan tonight.
No, Nick sends his apologies.
Where is he?
Driving home from Bristol.
Oh, is he? Nick,
He'll be watching soon.
great to see you on there. I'll miss not having you there watching tonight, but drive safely, brother. It'll be nice to see you soon. We'll have a good catch up, broski. Alright, so slight bevel in there. And then you can see this slight bend in there. So that now creates
Beth Thompson.
that shape. Beth Thompson, good to see you with us tonight. Woo! Hope you're okay, Beth. It's always good to see you with us tonight.
Lindsay Whitmore.
Lindsay Whitmore. Hello, Lindsay Whitmore. Great to see you with us tonight. Happy Lindsay. Excellent. I was sailing at the weekend, so I'll be talking to you soon about that. I'm guessing you're watching from your holiday.
Laura
I know you're
Whitmore,
away.
is that your friend?
Yeah.
I thought it was.
Let's put her on quick so you can say hello. There you go. Give her a
Hello,
little wave.
Grace.
Woo. Okay, let's come round to the side now, Dad. Okay, so on our next part now, we're going to be working from the apex coming through to the the recession. So we're going to be doing that slight bend now, just to come round on this section. You could do it all in one go, but the idea is to take it in two sections. That way you can keep the sections clean and you can keep your haircut really tidy as you're doing it. Because again, clean haircut, well, clean lines, clean haircut. And this is the discipline that I learned when I was working at Tony Guy many years ago. As it's been mentioned tonight, Remy's. When I worked there, as with all the companies that I've worked for in the past, it's all about cleanliness, keeping the sections clean and tidy, keeping it all clipped out the client's faces. These are all things you have to think about to our would-be hairdressers that are watching tonight. Well, let me just reclaim my stall a minute. With that, that's it. Trying to trip you over. Okay, so now getting back onto it again. Coming through, we're now turning slightly. Coming round to the sides. Sharon Langham, nice to see you with us tonight. Hope you're okay. Thanks for all your support following with the marathon, as with all of you. I'll be announcing very shortly what the figure is, because everybody keeps asking me. So obviously I've been away sailing at the weekend, so we'll be announcing that very shortly. Right, as we're coming around, you can see I'm using the comb to maximum effect now. Really just, that's like an extension of my hand with this. So again, if you were to pull everything back, you would create a longer shape onto the sides. We want a shorter shape onto the sides, so that's why we follow it around. Keeping it tight, as you can see, I'm keeping this really tight as I'm doing it. Tension on, maximum. Whilst I'm cutting. Again, for those of you that have never cut through a comb, practice it, do it. It's really, really nice. It's a nice way of doing it. You can really see what you're doing as you're going around. Again, on the photos later, it will reflect a lot and you'll see it. Just going through to the last part, if you probably drop over this side, that's it. There you go, great man, there he is. Good stuff, Dad, well done. Here he is. Thank you. Just have to give you a bit of sign language there. Thank you, my younger friend, my younger brother.
This chair a bit, make sure you walk.
Is it in your way, is it? Okay. Don't trip yourself over. Oh, that's it, thanks, Dad. That's brilliant. Alright, so there we go. So you can now see the sides. We've got that side all the way around. I'm just going to replicate that and bring this down. So just bring everything down here. And again, what this does now is it just really reinforces everything that historically has been a one length haircut. This one length can be any length really, but it's just nice to sort of see the shape. And again, you can see I'm cutting this with the hair really damp. It just means that you get a really, really great line. And again, that's what you really want. You really want that really clean line as you're cutting, because again, people want that. That's what they're after today. They're after world-class customer service. They're after that consistency, and they're after that added value. And the added value for you as a hairdresser when you're doing this sort of thing is that you are putting the work in now at this point to make sure that it ensures that when you do your finish off at the end, it means that everything is nice and clean and easy to do. So there's side one. Okay, let's get round to side two to make sure everything looks right. Again, replicating this, so we're going apex to recession now. How's it looking over that side? Oh no, the head's in the phone. How's it looking over that side?
Very nice.
Excellent, thank you very much. So go on with your words. Right, so now clip it out of the way. Everything's all out the way. Again, you can see we've got a clean line in there to work with. That's telling me what angle to go at as well. Let's just have a sit down, Dad, just to make sure I'm the right height. Get an arm bar stuck in your back when you sit on this side with the stairs. Right, so here we go. So now we'll just come round again. Really pulling it
Alan
top.
Hamilton.
Alan Hamilton. Alan Hamilton. Nice to see Alan Hamilton tonight. Hope you're okay. Welcome. Great to see you with us this evening.
Hello from the Flying Scotsman.
Hello. Oh yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Thanks very much for what you did, by the way, Alan. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate that. I'll work out who it is now. Alan Hamilton, the Flying Scotsman. Yeah. Great to see you with us tonight. Hope Linda's okay.
Jenna Billy.
And Nicole, of course. Who's that, Dad? Jenna Billy. Jenna. Ooh. Hope you're okay, sweetheart. Down the road there. Literally. Hope you're okay. Hope you had a good holiday as well. Looked like you had a great time. See you all on Facebook, you say. Right.
Chloe Neville.
Chloe Neville. Hello, Chloe. Always say hello to Chloe quickly.
Hello.
Hope you're okay, Chloe. Hope you feel alright after that milkshake. I'm hoping. Let me know how you're feeling after that milkshake. Hope Zach's alright. Zach's with you. Great to see you, Zach. Hope you're alright. Have a great holiday. Just go and relax in the sun. Hope you're going alright at college today as well. So, Chloe's our apprentice. So it's really important that you sort of give them a break and also that you encourage them with the college as well. Okay, so now we've got the last part to come on the first side. Just going to take this down. Again, it's just working smartly and just keeping everything nice and tidy. Because it's really important when you're doing this just to make sure that everything's alright. So again, you can see that. This be appropriate track for Chloe, this track, while she's away on holiday. The weekend starts here. Tomorrow morning when you're on the plane. Make sure you don't serve milkshake on the plane, Chloe. That won't be good. Okay, so that's it. So now we're just coming through to the front part for the bits that you cannot catch with the comb, which sometimes you cannot.
Marie.
Ashley.
Marie.
Ashley Marie, nice to see you with us tonight. Hope you're okay.
Kate Howard.
Kate Howard, nice to see you, Kate. I hope you had a great birthday. I hope you're keeping well. Nice to see you with us all the way from Locks at Mildenhall. That's up near Norwich, which is a good part of town, that is. It's something I've been to teach a few times. So I say they'll come on from all over. You wait till you get the international people come on. They probably came on earlier on. So now we'll just put the blade under the hair just to pull that out. Nice little technique for you there. Just drop a few in. Just make sure the level's right on the sides. Again, this is important, this part, just to make sure that the levels are correct when you're doing it ready to start your next part, which we'll be using a razor blade in a minute, on C-shaped curvature, which is really important. Again, going to the second knuckle, which is really important, because if you go past that, you'll cut yourself, and it's really important to get that right. Again, good discipline, which is what it's all about. We're nearly there. Just another little piece here, and we'll be there. Okay, that's it. There we go. Let's just have a little look. Again, you can do this visually, just to make sure everything is level. So there we are. We've now got the first part, which is the one length haircut. That's it. Good man. Thank you. Right, so subdivide the hair again. So we now go back into the apex, ready to do the razoring on the sides. Just to make sure this is right. So the idea with this is you keep the discipline tight, because if you don't, what will happen is you start to razor and you'll start to razor into the back and put it into a point. So what I try to do is keep everything out the way. To the back of the ear is the discipline. You'll see when I cut hair, or any of the team at Scott Bailey, we generally work in a method to keep everything clean and tight. Let's get a razor blade. Okay, so here's that on now. Let's have a quick look. Ashley Marie. Woo! Okay, so let's start this side. Dad will go here first. All right, so when we look at the side, what we've got is now we've got the length, which is there. We need to preserve. Probably if you come into the corners, just make sure you've got a great angle. Right, so that's the length we want to preserve, and we're going to work from below the jawline. So the idea is we're going to take this out here. Okay, so we're going to work in this area here and create a C shape, which will basically look a lot more softer. So just lift your head up, set. Do it in 3 sections just to make it a lot more easier. So 0 elevation, that's elevation, that's 0 elevation. Go straight in with your blade. You've got to be putting your blade towards yourself when you're doing it, otherwise you'll rip the hair. So straight in there, you shouldn't even feel that. Can you feel it?
No.
Oh, there you go. That's what he said.
Nick McCaffrey.
Nick McCaffrey, great to see you with us tonight. Really getting a bird's eye view tonight of this. Razor in. Let's pop it straight on as quick as I can see him. On me. Nick, great to see you, broski. Hope you're alright. Hope you drove safely. Great to have you with us tonight. Hope you're alright, brother. So, just take this through the back. You can see now, just taking it off. Yeah, by the way, Nick, I'm standing alright now, actually. After the marathon, I've signed up for another one, so we'll be talking about that when you come see me. Get some more top tips from you. So as we come through, you can see now I'm just gliding this razor towards the bottom. What that's doing now is it's creating that real nice C shape just in the bottom. Then I just pick it out with my finger, and there it is. Okay, let's go back around to the other side. Okay, there we go. My younger brother, let's see where he's coming from. Let's just move it this way. Just can get an angle, that's it. Alright, again, 0 elevation. So we're going to just divide this into 3. So comes the first one. That's it. On we go. Put it on there, slide away. And again, you can see that shape immediately as it just drops in. What you've got to do with this is, as I said, the discipline is 0 elevation, keep it wet. You can do it dry, it's not a problem. But chipping it away as if it's a plane towards yourself, and then what you find then is that it will just take it out. What it tends to do is just glide it towards the bottom afterwards, and that just keeps it really clean and tidy. The secret is not to be frightened of a razor blade, and also just keep the blade moving, because if you don't keep the blade moving, it will start to take pieces out in chunks, and then you've got a bit of a problem because it doesn't flow. So the idea is that you just need a nice flow on it. Okay, so you can see both sides there, and all you do then is go from the front, go from the middle, and go from the bottom, and that just then tells you whether or not it's level. Okay, so now we're on to the layers into the back. Let's get another pair of scissors, because we've got plenty to pick from. Let's bring you around to the other side, Dad, with the camera. That's it. Thank you. Right, so on the top part, this is how this will work. We'll work into the back section here, which will lift up, and then we'll round it slightly, which will give us a really nice shape, which then starts to shape here. That shape also will work from the apex all the way around to the front, which will then go to the parietal ridge, which will then bend at the parietal ridge and give us a nice shape. So if we follow that through, in fact, I'll face this way, you'll see it better. On the top, it will go from a square layer to a rounded layer, which then, as that dictates historically, it goes through that way, which then gives us a nice shape at the bottom. So you'll understand, gives us a really nice heart shape coming through the bottom. So the way we have to do that is with the discipline of the bones that are in the skull in order to do that. It's a good job my comb bends, isn't it? Otherwise you'd be in a bit of a situation, wouldn't you? Right, so discipline on this is to stand really, really clean as you're doing it. So stand there, now the arm pushes out, pushing that out, you can see there, that's the length it's going to. Now I'm not looking for any drag, I'm looking to keep it dead straight. So off it comes, second knuckle discipline, and then literally just bend it a little bit more. You can determine how much. Now take one step round towards Dad, repeat the process again. So of course we're looking to push it up, we're not looking to take sections like this as we cut. Got to keep the tension on tight all the time in order to get the best you can get with the cut. To the second knuckle, and then again just bring it round slightly. Always to your second knuckle, because A, it's the most amount of tension that you get, and then B, it's also so you don't cut yourself, so you've really got a good discipline on there. Okay, push it up with the arm. The arm really dictates a lot. It's called the mechanics of a haircut, and this really, really, really just dictates a cut. So if I was to drop this arm off now, it starts to become heavy and drop down. So what I do is I just keep the arm up, push it up, and it just keeps it there. Okay, so we've now got the first side. The way that we subcheck that is by going through, because the hair on the top, if you go with a cross, it's got quarters. This is called a quadrant. So what you do is you lift the quadrant out at the angle, nice and clean again, pulling it out, and then you can see it's dead straight to what I've cut. If you cut it upwards, that's not what we really did. We've actually cut it at an angle at that point, what we need. So let's just go around the other side. I'll just spin you around a minute to make it easy for filming. I'm just going to replicate what we've just done. So working pie sections on the top. Now the arm's going back up again, looking for the guide, taking it off to the second knuckle, These are 8.5-inch blades, so you have to be really quite careful with them, otherwise you will cut yourself. So just have to be really, really disciplined. Most people use 4-inch blades. I just like a large blade, I do. It just makes a massive difference when you're cutting. Okay, there's the guide to the second knuckle, so it's really important to keep it between there as you're cutting, which again is what it's all about. When you're on stage, you move so fast, people can never pick it up. So that's the beautiful thing about doing these videos. You're actually able to share and showcase exactly what you can do as you're doing it. You can see I'm keeping the sections clean, only going to that line. Just there you can really see what I'm working to on that line there. So you can see how clean I'm keeping it. I'm not taking anything past that line as I'm doing it. I'm really being disciplined with this. Okay, and again up to the top, and that just keeps everything really clean. You have to keep your body really straight as well when you're doing this. That's really important. Keep your body straight. Right, let's go through the opposite side. Because again, you have to think about your well-being. As a hairdresser, you've got to think about your arms, your body positioning. It's really important. Okay, so we've now got the layer. It's already starting to look quite interesting already. So, round to this side. There we go. Right, so let's just go through here now. So the subdivision, Ross Cunningham's favourite bone that we've got there is the parietal ridge. Everything will work in sections. There's a square layer that side's a round layer. This is how it works. For Emma Cox is watching tonight, this is the cut that I recommended to you. So you'll understand this. So nice and clean coming up, looking for the guide. There's the guide just there. Again, keeping it nice and clean and at the parietal ridge. Now turning slightly. This is where we lose the hair, so we don't go any further past that point because you won't have any hair, and obviously that's where we're cutting into. So replicate again. So the parietal ridge. So the key points to remember here are cutting to the parietal ridge and cutting to your second finger, so your second knuckle on your finger. Which again, if you keep that discipline on board as you're doing it, you then get a really nice clean haircut. And again, this is what I can emphasise tonight, it's about really clean haircut. You'll see this on the photos later when we come to do the finish off. You'll really sort of see how it works and how the products work in harmony with that. It's quite a bit of hair to get through, so we'll just work the sections. You can see I'm really keeping the sections nice and clean, being really funny about how I'm standing as well, because I want the best out of this haircut. As to the Charlotte, and of course, last section, again, everything straight up. Hopefully Big Mate's joined us tonight after his little cruise past in his Fiesta outside there, or should I say Lynn-Marie Atkinson's Fiesta that's out there. I saw Big Mate driving it earlier, pipping the hooter. Sure Grace is watching tonight. Hopefully Grace is enjoying it also this evening, and Cara if you're watching as well. Okay, so now what we're going to do now is, sorry Carla, let's get your name right before you correct me. Now we go through the opposite way, so it's square layer through the top just to make sure that's level, and then we come through on the parietal ridge, which we change the angle, and come through at this angle just to make sure everything's level, and that now concludes that side of the layering. So we've now cut this in such a way that if it's blow dried straight, you'll see it look straight, but it will also curve in as well. So let's go through the other way now. We'll film it from the front so you can see better. Right, so we're now going to replicate everything what we just did. So, there she blows. Lift it up square, looking for the guide, taking it off to the second knuckle. You only get a tiny bit to work with on the parietal ridge on this side because there's not as much hair because you've moved the parting over. Now the important part is this part with the arm. The arm's got to really, really push up in order to get this right. So it becomes quite awkward for people sometimes, and what happens is you should feel the muscle pulling just here. This is great for Saxon for a workout, just on here. You should get that real feeling of that muscle pulling just there. If it's not, well, you're not doing it correctly. As with any technique, it has to be right. So now we come through to the side. You can see we moved it over. Again, this is the shortest point, so that's the length that we've got. If we go any shorter than that, then we'll lose the length, and we don't really want to do that. So now we're going straight up again, rounded, for square, side for square before the rounded. And there's the rounded layer. Now comes the last part in a minute, one before the last, sorry. I'm running before I can walk. Probably because I was thinking about the end of Coronation Street, how it's going to end tonight. Not that I've watched it in years.
Lisa Wainwright.
Lisa Wainwright, nice to see you with us tonight. I hope you're really well. Keeping well there. Great to have you with us this evening.
Mark Pierpont.
Mike, great to see you. Hope you're really well. Thanks for the the line-up. That's really good. And the timetable, I really appreciate that. Hope you're keeping well in the family too. So no doubt I'll see you Wednesday actually. Tomorrow night I have to think where I am. Right, so here we go, Dad. Let's just go back a bit. That's it. Right, so now we go through just to check off, just to make sure everything's all right. So again, we're going up square. So good to see you, amigo. Again, second knuckle, and now we come through to the side piece through here. Is Mark still on? Is he watching?
Yes.
All right, put it on me quick. Ooh, took off. They were loving that. That's it. Okay, so right, so we've now got the cut all the way around with the layers. What we're going to do now is remove weight from this part of the haircut, and the way we'll do that is with a razor blade. So the first part is to damp the hair down again so it works better. So we'll use our second wardrobe accessory tonight, which is the Fat Muck Volumizing Spray. What this will do is thicken the hair up as well. It's got like panthenol that wraps itself around the hair strand, and that just thickens the hair up, which also gives it in turn volume. So that works quite nice. So we'll just put this on really nice aroma as well. Nice fine mist. It's the nice thing about fine mist, it disperses really well. Okay, so this is where it gets really technical now, folks. So what we're doing now is we divide the hair into the middle. It can be quite sort of fluid with this part now, but as long as you're really careful when you do it. So what we do now is subdivide it onto the occipital bone, pin that up so it's out of the way. Now the important part is we're using the wider part of a razor. So on this we've got two different types of blade. We've got a thinning blade and we've got a cutting blade. We used a cutting blade earlier to create a line. A thinning blade, see that's got pieces missing out of there? That's what we're after. So elevation's the key part, so we elevate lightly, and what we do then is put the blade on at an angle as we cut. So very lightly just put that on, and what we start to do then is remove a little bit of weight as we're doing it. Okay, so that's the first part. There's the weight there. Alright, so that now goes, which you can still see the length is there. The important part is not to press too hard. If you do, you'll take off too much hair. So the idea is just take it nice and steady, just keep it really, really light, and you'll see that by doing that, it just keeps it really clean and tidy. You don't want any ends that are sticking out, so it just keeps it really, really clean. And again, if I can emphasise, a nice fresh blade would work better. So there's our first part just there that we've got. Now we're going to a second, which is just going to subdivide this now and go right in on the subdivision, which is the same height as what would be the occipital bone, into the back part. Just really elevate this up. It's quite relaxed when you do it. You can just go straight in now, just very, very lightly, just squeeze a bit out there. Just take that out. Very, very lightly. You'll see bits coming off. Okay, and again what this does now is just removes the weight. I'll do some more of this later when the hair's dry, just to see what's going on. And again, it's just really important to keep it nice and clean. Put the blade on it. As you put it on, you can just see a little bit of weight removal there. And again, it just protects the hair as you're doing it. Okay, if you keep it elevated, that's the most important part. If you do not elevate, then you'll find you won't get the effect as good. So just keep it clean, elevated, at about a 25-degree angle as you're doing this. So you can remove as much percentage that you want to off this. I just said I'd take about probably 50% out. I should probably go a little less than that. But you can start to see it's getting leaner now and taking that weight out of it. Again, you just got to make sure you really keep a steady hand when you do this, which is really important. Okay, so again, we'll just go in there like that. Take a bit more out. Keeps the length, which is all still there. Don't look frightened, it's alright. I know what I'm doing. This is it. Yeah, to those of you that are watching tonight that don't know or didn't know, it's 21 years ago, last Friday, that I opened the salon, and of course in October this year it's 30 years that I started hairdressing, so great bit of celebrating all the way around, which I know some of you will be thinking, but you don't look old enough. That's the idea. Thanks Dan for that. You can hear him laughing to himself. That's it. Well, you brought me into the world. You know. It makes sense. Okay, so we'll go on this side. Again, very, very lightly. Let's take a little bit more off. And just make sure everything just cleans out. So again, just very, very lightly. You can really see this as it coming off, but it keeps to the line real clean. What's the question?
What razor comb are you using?
What brand? Who asked the question?
Stacey Lynn.
Stacey Lynn. The one I use, believe it or not, is a carving comb by Donald Scott. That's what I use. It's a great comb. It works really well for me. It's the beautiful thing about it is it's got a double-sided razor, and it's also got a comb all in one. The result of it is if you don't use something like this, you will have to use one that's got a razor and a comb separately. So for me, it works really well. You can look it up on a web page. Go to Donald Scott carving comb and you'll see it on there, which works really well. It's about £35 with about 8 blades, so it's a great tool. I've used this for a long time and I really like it. It's just something very, very different. Okay, so now you can see on the elevation. Good question.
Jennifer Bell joined.
Jennifer Bell, nice to see you, Jenny. Hope you're really well, sweetheart. Good to see you with us tonight. This is a bit more technical than your hair, this one, isn't it? Your hair is very technical, but this is exceptionally technical, using a blade like this. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So now we're just really looking and seeing if there's anything I can see that really doesn't sort of sit right, that I don't really want to see. So what we've done now is then removed the weight and really made it a lot more leaner. Okay, so without the point of blow drying, so what we'll do now is we'll just damp that again. It's really important, so we'll put some more fat muck volumizing spray in. Just quickly damp that down first, because we want that to be really, really sort of nicely saturated. Historically, it's really important just to make sure that before you do a blow dry that the hair is saturated nicely before you do the blow dry, because again it helps in the actual positioning of the hair. Right, now we'll use Aunt Collie's favourite product. If you're watching tonight, Aunt Collie, Filthy Mucky loves it. This is what we use on the men. You can see it's a fresh can tonight. It's quite a gritty sort of texture, and some people may be thinking, well, why are you using a paste? Yes, why indeed. It will stop humidity, but tonight I'm using it in place of to stop any frizz. So we just put this on now, evenly distribute it through the hair, especially through the bottom section, and then what we'll do is immediately apply the hair dry in a moment, and what that will do then is start the process. Now when I do this, because I'll disappear in a moment and go off and continue to do Charlotte Ann's hair while you will have a drink or put your children to bed or whatever you're going to do this evening, what I'll do is I'll get the hairdryer, I'll grab the airflow, so the dryer's drying this way, and I'll grab the airflow and trap it onto the hair, and as I'm doing that it starts the process and creates a shine. So when you come back you will see Charlotte Ann's hair really shine, and then we'll come into it with the muck straighteners. So the idea is you've now seen the wet relationship of the haircut, which we'll then go over again later what we did. We're going to disappear now, and we're going to do the blow dry, because A, it'll be too loud and you won't hear me speaking, which probably isn't a good thing, or probably that's a bad thing for you, because you probably fed up with my voice, as most people do get fed up with it. But the idea is also you can have a comfort break, and then we'll come back and do the dry relationship of the haircut. We'll probably disappear now for about 15 minutes, but for those of you that have stayed with us, the Wi-Fi has gone beautifully tonight. Dad's done a great job as well, and Charlotte's been a great model. We look forward very much to joining you again with us in the next 15 minutes. Have a great evening, whatever you decide to do, and we'll be back real soon. Don't go away. Ciao.